Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I hope all of you are doing good. Welcome to the weekly market update live stream. If you're new to my YouTube channel, please make sure to subscribe to it. Please make sure to like the live stream. Also, if you're not following me over Twitter, 𝗟𝘍𝗶𝗵𝘁, this is my Twitter handle. I regularly post market updates and sometimes calls also over my Twitter account. So make sure that you're following this Twitter handle. And finally, if you would like to receive more organized updates and calls, you can always join in the Discord server. The link you can find in the description of this video. So let's start the live stream. If you guys have any questions, any chart requests, then please make sure to drop in the chat box. First of all, I'm just going to give you a brief overview of the positions that we have open. We just opened two new short positions. The first one is on AVNT. Uh, the entry for this short position is 62 cents. Price is, I guess, 2-3% down from the entry point. And then the second short position that we opened is on Pixel. We have two more short positions open. One is on MLN. This one is already down almost 8 to 9%. Stop loss has been already moved to break even for this position. We already took first TP on this position. The second TP is going to be around 6.268. Then another position that we have open is on ZRC. For this one also, we took TP1. Stop loss has been moved to break even, although this is behaving more like a shit coin. Uh, not literally not doing anything. It has been just moving in the very same range for the past 24 hours. We have a choice to open a few more short positions also. You can see that in my watch list, I'm actively looking at some of these coins. For example, GUSDT. This one also, you can see that had a break below the 4-hour support and it's looking good. We can open a short position on this one. Swarms, this one is already down almost 2-3%, so there is no point chasing this. Uh, but if it goes back up a little bit, if it goes back up to retest this resistance, it could be a good short position. Then BRT, this one is a fresh one because it is starting to break below this ascending trend line. Now ascending trend lines are going to play a very important part, a very important role in this whole discussion that we are going to have today. Be it the Bitcoin chart, be it the USDT dominance chart, be it the stablecoin dominance chart, not just the ascending trend line, but descending trend lines also. But only the opposite of Bitcoin charts have descending trend lines. Descending trend lines are actually bullish, but most of these altcoins and including Bitcoin and most of these bigger market cap coins, almost all of them have these ascending trend lines, which is not really a good thing. So, you know, these are just a few examples. You would find a lot of these other coins on which price is just breaking below, the higher time frame support levels. So, let's start the discussion with Bitcoin. Again, these are the two positions that we have open. If you have not placed, if you did not enter into these two short positions, you can still enter. You can still place a limit order and enter as soon as price goes back to the limit order. For Pixel, it's going to be 0.01520, and for AVNT, it's going to be 62 cents, 0.6260. Obviously, these two are swing positions. They are not going to hit the TP immediately. I specifically mention if it's a scalp position. For a scalp position, you can expect price to go down to the TP immediately, but for a swing position, obviously, it's going to take some time. But yeah, these are the positions that we have open. Now let's talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin right now is trading at 108,000, around 108,000, and it has already started. It has already started to break below this ascending trend line. This ascending trend line is visible on the 4-hour time frame chart, on the 8-hour time frame chart, also on the 12-hour. Also, you can see that we have the first point of contact, we have the second point of contact, then we have this third point of contact. And on the daily time frame chart, also to some extent, this trend line is present. First point of contact, the second point of contact, the third point of contact. And I mentioned this in my update also just a few hours ago that uh, everything that has happened in the past 24 hours, uh, has basically failed to give price a bounce, has failed to give price, a reasonable catalyst to go up. I mean, we had the example, we had this one very important catalyst, which was FOMC. That also was not, something really bullish, because I have said this quite a few times, uh, that the expectation of rate cuts are already known, are already priced in, but something which is not priced in is the dot plot. Every time we go into FOMC, every time we have this decision about interest rates, it's almost always priced in. People think that maybe the decision itself is something which is going to be a surprise. No, it never really is a surprise, because it's almost always priced in. And I've told this several times that the decision, you can go to this website called CME Watch Group, and you can look at the latest probability, and 99.9% of the times the actual decision is what the probability is telling you. So uh, it was expected that it's going to be a 25 basis point rate cut. It was a 25 basis point rate cut. And the second most important thing is that there was supposed to be a no dot plot, right? So no dot plot was supposed to be published. Whenever we have this FOMC meeting, the only surprising thing, first of all, the comments made during the press conference, that is the surprise element. And then the second surprising element could be the dot plot. So obviously there was no dot plot, but during the press conference also, the tone, it was not, it was a hawkish tone, and it was clearly mentioned by Powell that uh, December rate cut, we are not. He mentioned that we are definitely not, like, there is some kind of disagreement among the members of Federal Open Market Committee about the December rate cut. So, what the market initially was expecting was that there is going to be another rate cut, for the last FOMC of this year during December. But, he clearly mentioned that it is not confirmed. And if you look at the latest probability, it's still 70%. But, he clearly mentioned that there is a disagreement among the members of the Federal Open Market Committee that, if it's feasible to do another rate cut, another 25 basis point rate cut in December's FOMC, which is, very much similar to the dot plot thing. The dot plot is basically always just telling you that, what members are thinking about, what the expectations of members are about the future rate cuts. And I have explained this in detail in some of my previous live streams also. We are not going to get into the details of that. But, yeah, he clearly mentioned that, not all members agree that there should be another 25 basis point rate cut in December's FOMC. And that is why I believe the market reacted negatively. So the rate cut itself was already priced in. The remarks, that thing was not priced in, and that is why I believe the market reacted negatively. And apart from that, we had two other important confluences: the tech earnings from these big companies that has failed to give market any support. And the second most important thing was the meeting between Trump and the Chinese president. And details of that meeting are still not open. We still don't know much about that meeting, but once again, that has not proved to be a reasonable catalyst for market to go up. And it was very much expected also. I mean, I have been saying this for the past 24 hours, is that just forget about all of this fundamental news and everything. All you have to do is just draw this ascending trend line, and then you would notice that price is just constantly bouncing at this trend line. Even 24 hours ago, during that press conference, I clearly mentioned that it's not a good sign that price is just constantly bouncing at this trend line. You look at the first bounce, it was a big one. The second one was big one. The third one, it was a big bounce. Then look at this one, a small bounce, and another small bounce, and another small bounce. So this is basically an indication that price is about to. I watched it just for the chance of 50 basis point cut. No, the chances of having a 50 basis point rate cut, I guess it was probably like 1%, 2%. And so yeah, 50 basis point rate cut was never really happening. Anyways, so we're talking about this trend line. So on the Bitcoin chart, during the last 24 hours, we had this ascending trend line. And obviously, whenever there is an ascending trend line, present on the chart, price would almost always break below that trend line, sooner or later. And by the way, I would be showing you this a very similar kind of trend line on the Ethereum's chart also, but on a much bigger time frame. This one is on the 4 hour or on the daily time frame chart. I would be showing you the one on the weekly time frame chart for ETH. So regarding Bitcoin, you can see that we have this big ascending trend line, and the last time when we had a similar kind of trend line, like if I show you the daily time frame chart, I guess it was 2 3 weeks ago when we did this live stream, and at that time this was the trend line that we were talking about. Okay, and you can see that in this situation also, the first bounce, the second bounce, the third one, the fourth one, the fifth one, and finally price had a break below this trend line. Once again, a break below 110,000, and then price went all the way down to 103,000. This one also, I believe, has only started. Price has only started to break below this trend line. Now, the interesting part is that you can slightly modify the positioning of this trend line also. If you would draw it like this, then price should be giving a small bounce here, which would further confirm the formation of this trend line, because we know that in order to draw a trend line, you need 3 point of contact. The first one is confirmed, the second one is confirmed. You would need another small bounce here, and then the formation of this trend line will be confirmed, and then there is going to be an even bigger break below this level. But anyways, if you would draw the trend line like this, which is much more visible on the 4 hour time frame chart, you can see that we already have 3 point of contacts: the first one, the second one, the third one, and you can consider this a small fourth one also. So the break below has already started happening. This is just the first candle, and I believe that we will go much lower. You may see a small bounce here, mainly because of the formation of this second trend line. But once we start breaking below, I believe that we should be sweeping either this low or this low, and that is going to be a perfect long trigger. I mean, I have been saying this for the past few days that instead of just trying to trade this move, you can see that there have been, like, too many fake outs above this level. This was one fake out, this was one fake out, this was above 1 day quarterly VWAP also, above this higher time frame level, also above 112,000 level also. So instead of just placing a limit order somewhere around here, wait for better confirmation, which in my opinion is going to be the sweep of either this low or this low. You need a sweep, and then you need a quick candle close above this low to confirm that, okay, this is a swing failure pattern, and for that reason we should be going long here. Otherwise, there is no point trading this chop, in my opinion. So from the Bitcoin chart, this is all the information that you are going to get. But one thing is absolutely confirmed, that we are going lower. It's only a matter of time that price just goes back down to 103,000 level. I'm not really sure at this point in time if it is going to be a close below this level or a close below this level, but I'm hoping that it's only a sweep of this low or a sweep of this low, and not an actual daily candle close below these lows. A sweep is going to be a very good opportunity for us to get into a long position, but so far situation is not looking good. You can see this for yourself that the first trend line we already had a break below, the second trend line we have started forming, this is the second trend line. And what what am what I think could happen in the next few hours, it's most likely going to be a small bounce here. Okay, because one trend line, this is the first trend line. Price already had a break below this trend line. Now, most likely there is going to be a second trend line here, a formation of second trend line here. Price most likely is going to give a small bounce here, probably towards $109,000 level, $110,000 level. We already know that once we start having a few 4 hour candle closes below this level, below the $110,000 level, then the flip is going to be confirmed. Then this level would be acting as a resistance level, just like it did back on 21st of October. But it's not really an important level because there have been, like, too many fake outs above this level. So I'm not really going to, like, give it that much importance. But the important part is that this is what I'm expecting: the first bounce, the second bounce, the third small bounce, obviously something like this. And remember that it has to happen on the daily time frame chart, right? It cannot happen on the 4 hour time frame chart. Obviously, if you're looking on the daily time frame chart, then you would be more focused on daily. But maybe on the 4 hour time frame chart also, in the next 24 hours or so, you're going to see a small relief bounce. Once it happens, the formation will be confirmed, and then in the next daily candle, okay, you are going to see a break below this level. Friday is generally positive, but the first half of Friday is generally positive and the second half is usually always negative. Most of the times after the US market open. So I am assuming that a small bounce here, if we do not just continue to go down, then we would have a small bounce here, a small relief bounce towards 110,000, and that is going to in fact give you a good opportunity to position yourself into a few short positions, because almost all of these altcoins that are down bad a lot right now, they would probably just go up a little bit. That's when you're going to get a decent chance to pick up a few more short positions. And I already gave you a few examples. These two we are already in. For these two, we have moved the stop loss to break even. GUSDT, you can see that. SWAMs, you can see that if it goes back up to the entry point. BRT, it has only just started breaking below the trend line. And I mean, we can just open a short position on this one at the market price also, but we would have to select the stop loss very carefully, because I don't really want a wide stop loss in this situation. Probably something like this, slightly above this level. But you can see that this one has already started breaking below the trend line. And you would find not just this one example, you would find so many examples in the market of coins that have started to break below the trend line, break below these ascending trend lines. And so yeah, you would most likely get a small chance to close these positions, any long positions that you have open, and enter a few short positions if you have not already done so. But there is another way of looking at it. You can see that the first bounce, the second bounce, if you would slightly adjust the positioning of this trend line, this can also be considered a small third bounce. But yeah, overall, I'm still assuming that if we do not just continue to go down, then a small bounce here, a small because there are a few people that are trying to build long positions around here, hoping that because this is a decent support, so maybe price would just give a small bounce here. But I believe that we have to go much lower. We at least have to sweep $103,000 low, or this low at 98.2k, sorry, this low at 102,000, or this low at 98.2k to confirm something. Sorry, apologies for this. This is not an important low. This is just an irrelevant low. This is an important low at 102,000, and the second most important one is at 98.2k. We won't be talking about this in detail, because in every single live stream we have discussed in detail, where exactly price needs to go in order for this uptrend to be invalidated. It's very simple. 98.2k, it really closed below 98.2k. So a small bounce here, probably just another rejection at the 4-hour quarterly VWAP, because you can see that price just had a break below the quarterly VWAP, the 4-hour quarterly VWAP, and the 1-day 12 period exponential moving average. So maybe a small bounce towards 1-day 12 period exponential moving average and 4-hour quarterly VWAP, and then you are going to have a break towards downside. There is no descending trend line formation. You can see that on the 4-hour time frame chart also. Although we have 3 point of contacts, but it's not really that important. On the daily time frame chart, it's just going to be one single rejection at this trend line, meaning that at least by looking at the Bitcoin chart, because there is no descending trend line formation, so I'm not really expecting price to make any impulsive move towards upside based on any of these trend lines and so on. Now let's take a look at the stablecoin dominance chart also, because in the previous updates that I shared, almost 24 hours ago, I was talking about this trend line also, right? So there was not just a trend line on the Bitcoin chart. Bitcoin just started breaking below this trend line, okay? But stablecoin dominance already did break above this trend line almost 24 hours ago. You can see that almost 24 hours ago, we had already started breaking above this trend line. The first point of contact, the second one, the third one, this was the fourth smaller one, and then we finally started having a break towards upside. And this was also a resistance level that we once again reclaimed after a small rejection, at the bottom of this level. And you can see that we are sitting quite far away from this resistance level. The next resistance level is 9.14, and this is exactly why I believe that we can go much lower on Bitcoin. Okay, that's why you have to be really patient. You don't really have to pick Ethereum. You don't really have to try and pick Bitcoin right now. You have to be really patient here. You have to wait for the sweep. It could be a sweep of this high, it could be a sweep of this high, or it could be a sweep of this low, or it could be a sweep of 98.2k low. So on the stablecoin dominance chart, the first important piece of information that we have is stablecoin dominance is already trading below this 8.4% level, 8.4 to 8.6% support. This is actually a support. It just had a break above this trend line. It has started breaking above this higher time frame trend line and is still quite far away from the next resistance level, next higher time frame resistance, which is 9.14. Amnesia is asking, are not we just retesting the trend line break if you draw a line from Monday 6th of October? From Monday 6th of October. From Monday 6th of October, what are you saying? From 6th of October, okay. So you are saying draw a trend line like this, or draw a trend line like this. Okay, so if you're talking about this trend line, and this is actually a good point. Uh, Stablecoin dominance had a break below this trend line. This is another trend line that we were talking about. If you guys remember, last Saturday, last Sunday, we were constantly talking about this trend line, saying that stablecoin dominance would eventually break below, which is going to result in Bitcoin making a move towards upside. And this is a very interesting thing also, because all of these moves, they can be understood by drawing these different kind of trend lines. Bitcoin made a big move towards upside because of this, sending trend line, on the stablecoin dominance chart. And Bitcoin just made a move towards downside because of this descending trend line on the stablecoin dominance chart. But you are saying that trend line break and then make a move towards upside and then rejection. This is actually a very good point. uh, and this is something which I teach to my students also. Well, whenever I'm delivering this lecture about trend lines, I'm always talking about this entry model that you can use to enter into different positions. It's not just about trading the breaks of the trend lines, it's also about trading the retests of the trend line. So let's suppose that if you have a descending trend line, then what you would do is that you would wait for price to break above this trend line. That's how price is going to move. You would just wait for price to make a move above the trend line. Three rejections you would wait for, and then you would wait for price to go back down, give a retest at this trend line, and that's when you are going to enter into a long position. And opposite is the case with a ascending trend line. You would wait for price to break below, then go back up and give a bearish retest at this ascending trend line, and that's when you can enter into a short position. But the problem is that if let's suppose we're talking about this trend line, the problem is that this situation is more suitable. Generally speaking, this situation is more suitable if the overall direction of the market is towards downside. I mean, I used to trade this entry model a lot, back in 2023 and 2022 during the peak of the bear market. Okay, because the overall direction of the market was towards downside, and it because price making a move towards upside, you know, that was generally less likely sort of a thing. And that's why it was much more favorable to take short positions, or much more favorable to build short positions. And that's why I used to trade this entry model a lot. But if we look at the stablecoin dominance chart in general, because it's a formation of higher highs and higher lows, because stablecoin dominance has been moving in an uptrend on the daily time frame chart. This is something that I've mentioned quite a few times, that stablecoin dominance is moving in an uptrend. You need to remember this thing. One thing that you may say is that, look, this looks quite similar to a head and shoulder chart pattern. For example, this is the first shoulder, this is the second shoulder, and this is the head. Although none of these shoulders, they should they should be higher than the head of the head and shoulder chart pattern. But still, in this situation, it's only a wick, it's not a candle close or anything. So you may say that this looks much similar to, or very similar to, a head and shoulder chart pattern. But I would not recommend trading this trend line. I would not recommend trading the retest of this trend line. Okay, because the overall direction on this chart is definitely uptrend. You can see that you have impulsive, corrective, impulsive, impulsive and corrective, then impulsive and then corrective. So it's a very nice formation of higher highs and higher lows. So uh there is no point trying to just trade the retest of this trend line. RPH plays, RPG saying all of this is a scam. Good luck losing. Okay. Yeah, I mean, people have different opinions about these financial markets. If you think it's all a scam, then yeah, you must have been losing a lot of money in this market. But anyways, uh, I was saying that I would not recommend trading the retest of this trend line because, you know, overall direction on this chart, because it's towards upside, so it wouldn't really make any sense to trade the retest of this trend line. But what you can do is you can actually trade the retest of this descending trend line because the overall direction is positive and it's a bullish trend. So you can wait for price to just go back down. And even if you are just completely, if even if you would just completely ignore this trend line, even then you can notice that this is a 8.6% to 8.4% level. This is actually a nice support on the stable coin dominance chart. So whenever price on this chart would go back down to give a retest, you can actually take a long position based on this, or short position based on this on the Bitcoin chart. And this is exactly what I have been saying. This is exactly what I have been saying. uh, if stablecoin dominance gives you a move like this, then it's basically going to be a move like this on the Bitcoin chart. Okay, it's very simple. Bitcoin would just make a small move towards 1 day 12 period exponential moving average and then 4 hour quarterly VWAP, meaning a small relief bounce here, which is going to be a very favorable thing for all of us. Even if you are in short positions, even if you're looking to open a new short position, it's going to be a very good thing for you because this would further confirm or the further strengthen the formation of this another ascending trend line. And we know that where there is a trend line, there is always going to be a break towards upside or downside. And I'm actually very happy when I see these kind of trend lines. If you guys remember, we discussed in detail the formation of this trend line. And we uh in when we had this live stream, just in the next few hours, we had a break below this trend line from 110,000 all the way down to 103,000 at that time also. And how do you know that price is about to break below the trend line? How do you know this? It's very simple. You would go to the lower time frame charts and you would notice that before the break happens, price would just be consolidating right above the trend line. Price would just be giving very small weak bounces above the trend line. And same is the case with the descending trend lines also. Price would be giving you very small rejections, very weak rejections at the trend line. So it's actually a very good thing that price just gave a small bounce here, which is basically confirming that which is basically confirming that we are slowly, or the buyers, they're slowly losing interest in this level. Buyers are slowly losing the momentum here, and probably there is going to be a small reaction, which is ultimately going to result in a much bigger move towards downside, and then most likely a sweep of 102,000. And then if we are very unlucky, then a sweep of 98.2k. And if we are the most unluckiest people in the world, then a break and close below 98.2k also, which would essentially mark the end of this bull market. So this is all about the Bitcoin chart and the stablecoin dominance chart. I have completely stopped looking at the USDT dominance chart because of the noise present on this chart. But you can actually see that on the USDT dominance chart also, we had a very similar kind of trend line. First point of contact, the second point of contact, the third one, and then finally we are seeing a break above this trend line, which is actually a very good thing. You can just reach the very same conclusion, no matter which chart you are looking at. uh, One thing that I'm actually, very concerned about is, and sorry for all of these, random drawings on the chart. The problem is that, unlike the other pairs, you cannot open another chart for USDT dominance. The only option you have is just go to an altogether different layout. Like, you would have to choose an altogether different layout. And my trading view, I have given access to, some of the analysts also. So I don't really want to draw anything on their layouts. But anyways, if you go to the higher time frame chart on USDT dominance, one thing that I'm actually quite worried about is that on the daily time frame, on the weekly time frame chart, this trend line formation has been now confirmed. Okay, and I'm telling you this beforehand that it's not a good thing. It's a very bad thing that this trend line formation is now confirmed even on the weekly time frame chart. You can see that starting from 7th of November 2022, the first point of contact, the second point of contact on 11th of September 2023, the third point of contact on 7th of April 2025, the fourth point of contact on 6th of October. And are you guys actually able to see the similarity in these reactions? The first important point, obviously, is that in all of these, in each one of these cases, obviously, it basically marked the bottom for Bitcoin. We are looking at the USDT dominance chart. Let me try to open a totally separate layout for you guys so that I'm able to just show you guys exactly what I'm trying to show. Um, so let me see if I can open an altogether new chart. So if I show you the USDT dominance chart on the weekly time frame, this is what I'm trying to show. Okay, so this is the weekly time frame chart for USDT dominance, right? And if you would if you would draw a descending trend line on this chart, starting from 7th of November 2022, you know, you would notice that whenever price retested or whenever price gave a retest at this trend line, it almost obviously resulted in Bitcoin forming a bottom. The first one was back on 7th of November 2022, and if my memory is serving me right, this was when the FTX crash happened, right? Please correct me if I'm wrong, and please let me know if you guys are able to see this new screen. Let me know in the chat box. But this was back in, most likely, back when the FTX crash happened. 7th of November 2022, 7th, the FTX crash happened between 7th to 9th of November, right? So you can see that it basically marked the bottom for Bitcoin. Then the second one was on 11th of September 2023. I don't exactly remember what happened on 11th of September, but definitely in October 2023, Bitcoin started rallying above 28,000, which basically marked the start of this bull market. But then another rejection back on 7th of April 2025. Then once again, another rejection back on 6th of October 2025. This 7th of April obviously was when Trump announced, on 2nd of April, Trump announced the Liberation Day tariffs, and at that time, Bitcoin went down to, if you guys remember, $75,000. And that's when the formation of this trend line was confirmed. Remember that we did need this third rejection to confirm the formation of this trend line. This fourth one, obviously, was when the 10th of October crash happened, when Bitcoin made a wick down to 102,000. But the scary part is that, first of all, the formation of this trend line is happening not on the 4 hour time frame, uh, not on the 4 hour time frame or the daily time frame. This is actually happening on the weekly time frame chart, which is a very scary thing. This is happening on the weekly time frame chart, meaning that it has taken price almost 3 years to form this trend line. And if the breakout happens, it's going to be like a really big breakout. And I would show you a few examples of this. You don't really have to. Yeah, you could call it the mother of DD breakouts. Uh, with Wait, what oil did he have in his house? The Johnson baby oil, right? Some mother of DD breakouts with no oil. That's what it's going to look like. Uh, a big giant candle. So on the weekly time frame chart, we have this big descending trend line, and you know we all know that whenever price is about to break above a trend line, or whenever price is about to obviously break below the trend line, that's when price would just give you a smaller rejections or smaller bounces at that trend line. Okay, we just discussed this in terms of the Bitcoin chart also, that if there is a big ascending trend line and price is bouncing at that trend line, you need 3 point of contacts, and when price is finally about to break below that trend line, it would give you very small weak bounces, right? And then finally you would have a break towards downside. Same is the case with the descending trend lines also. Price once price is about to break above the trend line, it would start giving you these smaller reactions, and then finally it's going to have a big break towards upside. Now this was a big break. This was a big rejection. This was a big rejection. This was a big rejection, but this wasn't really a big rejection. And most likely, price is about to go for this trend line once again. Remember this thing. Price is once again about to give a retest at this trend line. And remember, the first time price gave a rejection, and then the second time price gave the rejection, there was almost a 1 year difference. The third time price gave the rejection, there was almost a 2 year difference. The fourth time price gave the rejection, there is almost a 5 to 6 months difference. And now, if the retest happens again, it's most likely just going to be a 1 hour difference or something like that. You know, uh, so that's what I'm trying to say, that if the breakout happens, it's literally going to be a massive break towards upside, which is not really going to look good for Bitcoin. And this is something which not a lot many people are paying attention to. It's not just about the Bitcoin chart, it's also about the Ethereum chart as well. If obviously it's about the USDT dominance chart, then it's going to be reflected back automatically on the Bitcoin chart. I mean, Bitcoin needs not to have any kind of ascending trend line when there is a massive descending trend line present on the USDT dominance chart, because this chart is basically acting as a mirror for the Bitcoin chart. So it's essentially the very same thing, you know. So this thing, once again, I'm quite worried about the fact that not only we have this big trend line information, and if I remember, Ira also, Ira is the analyst in our community. She had this trend line drawn on the Bitcoin chart. This trend line. I don't really have that trend line drawn on the Bitcoin chart, but she had this trend line, which was once again a massive ascending trend line on the Bitcoin chart. Okay, and Bitcoin literally has been moving above this trend line for the past 3 to 4 years. So it obviously means that once we have a break below the trend line, it's going to be a massive break towards downside. You guys already have seen the examples on the on the hourly time frame chart for Bitcoin, on the daily time frame chart for Bitcoin. The last daily break below that we had was from 110,000 all the way down to 102,000. That was an $8,000 move just in a matter of 2 days or so. And you can imagine that if it's going to be a break towards, break above this trend line on the USDT dominance chart, and that too on the weekly time frame, it's going to be a massive move towards upside, which is definitely going to be, which is definitely going to look ugly for Bitcoin. So let's see what happens. But we have a very similar kind of trend line on the weekly time frame chart for Ethereum also. Let me show you this, what I'm talking about. And just 24 hours ago, so we basically had 2 to 3 updates on ETH. The first update that I shared almost 3 4 days ago, when ETH was trading around 4,200, and I clearly mentioned that during our previous live streams, my conviction about Ethereum was completely different. Okay, I was still expecting a move towards upside. Uh, my entry point for Ethereum was 4039, to be precise, 4039, and I exited all of my position. So I can share the screenshot with you guys. I do not hold even a single ETH right now. Okay, so I sold all of my position at 4200, at 41, at 4210, or around these levels. And then I gave the update in my channel also that I do not care about what people are I do not care what people are thinking about Ethereum, but I have completely exited my position at 4210, because I believe that we are going to see much lower prices in the next few days. And there are actually a lot of similarities between the 2021 move, which happened on the ETH chart, and something which is happening right now. Let me show you the weekly time frame chart for ETH as well, in order to show you precisely what I'm talking about. So this is the weekly time frame chart for ETH, right? Now, for sure, we have a we have a support present around here, and price already has started to, has started to break below this level. Now, first of all, remember that this is the weekly time frame support on the ETH chart. Okay, this is the weekly time frame support. Call it resistance support, whatever you want to call it. But the fact that once we have a weekly close below this level, this $3,800, $3,900 level, it's not going to be good for ETH. You can already see that. We had rejection at this level, another rejection, another rejection. Then finally we had the weekly close above this level after, first time after January 2022. And then we had a move from 4,200 up to 4,900. That was a decent move. And you can see that we only had a wick below this level on 10th of October. On Sorry, this crash which happened on 10th, starting from 6th of October to 12th of October. During this week, the crash which happened on 10th of October, you can see that there was not a weekly close below the 3880 level. Once again, this candle, no weekly close. Once again, this candle, no weekly close. Now, we still have 3 days and 9 hours for this weekly candle to close. I don't know what exactly is going to happen, but I'm telling you this beforehand. The situation is not good. The ETH chart is looking ugly right now. I would show you a few examples, the similarities between the 2021 chart for ETH and the 2025 chart. First of all, you can see that back in 2021, also November 2021, we created this top, price created this top, then we had the weekly close below. The weekly close for this was back on 27th of October 2021. The candle which started forming, the weekly close was at 3828. Okay, so we already know that 3888, this is a very important point, this is a very important region. Once we have a weekly close below almost 3900, then definitely the first stop is going to be 3,000. And I believe that, I've started believing that there is going to be a weak bounce at 3900, at 3,000, something very similar to what we saw happened during this move also. If you guys remember, during this move also, 2,900, 3,000, that was a very important level. That level had not been retested before. That was going to be the first retest of this level. But back in Feb 2025, earlier this year, we had this massive wick all the way down to 2,100. How many of you actually remember this wick? Uh, we were in two positions. The one that I can remember is PopCat, when that day this crash happened. And I remember that just 2 days before that crash, when Ethereum was trading at 3,200, Eric Trump tweeted that this is the best possible time to buy Ethereum. And no doubt that, Eric Trump has been constantly, shilling Bitcoin for the past few weeks, saying that it's going to $500,000, $1 million, and all of that. But how many of you actually remember that time when Ethereum made this wick earlier this year, all the way down to 2,100? And then in the very same 4 hour candle, price went all the way up to 2,800, 2,900. But anyways, at that time also, the 3,000 level had not been retested before, and it was going to be the first retest at the $3,000 level. But still, price gave a small weak bounce at the $3,000 level. This is exactly what happened back in 2021 also. Price dropped from 4,000, went all the way down to 3,000. A small bounce at 3,000. You can see that 2,900 up to 3,270, up to 3,320. And after this small bounce, after this small weekly candle, we had even a bigger break all the way down to $2,100 level. And remember that 2,100, it's a very important support level. And I am assuming that, the trend line that I'm looking at, and I would show you the trend line also, you know, uh, yeah, biggest con artist of our generation. Yes, that's true. That's true about the Trump family. Uh, so the first important level that you have to keep an eye on, I would try to make it extremely simple for you. If the weekly candle in the next 3 days and 9 hours, if the weekly candle close is below $3,900 level, then we are going to enter into a short position on Ethereum. That's going to be a big short position. Stop loss for this short position is probably going to be above 4,500 or something like that. And then we would target $2,100 level. Okay, this is going to be a short position. We would enter a short somewhere around here. We would set the stop loss probably above this candle, above 4,400. And this is going to be a TP for this short position. It's going to be called the big short. I guess there is a movie also called Big Shot. Uh, so $3,900 level is something that you have to keep an eye on. Something that I'm actually quite worried about is that we had a very similar kind of move, back in 2021 also. You can see that price had this massive drop all the way down to 35.42. In this situation also, you can see that there was this massive weekly candle all the way down to 34.36 back on 10th of October. Then in the next candle, we had the recovery. Then price started to consolidate. You can see that in the next candle, we had the small recovery. Then price continued to consolidate in this level for the next 2 weeks. The same situation is happening around here as well. And then in this candle, the weekly close was below 3900. We all know that 3900, 4000, it's a very important level. As soon as you would have a weekly close below 3900, and we did not have a weekly close below 4000 since 4th of August. Ever since we had a break above this level back on 4th of August, you can see that we did not have any weekly candle close below the $4,000 level. Even during this crash, even during this weekly candle between 6th of October 2025 and 12th of October 2025, you can see that this weekly candle close was at 4169. So we did not have any weekly candle close below this level. And I'm not sure if this weekly candle is going to be below $3,900 or not. But in the next 3 days in 9 hours, we are about to know if the weekly close is below 3,900, then we have to enter into the big short position. Okay. And the next most important thing is, and by the way, just showed you the similarities, one weekly close below and then all the way down to 2100. You can see that a big drop down to 3500. Then in the next 2 weeks, we had consolidation around this level, one big drop down, consolidation around these levels, and then finally we had the big drop all the way down to 2100. But something which actually, triggered this whole move back in 2021 was this trend line. Okay, you can see that there was this massive weekly trend line on the Ethereum chart. Okay, you can see that the first point of contact, the second point of contact, the third point of contact, the fourth one. And if you would look at it closely, let me use the replay function. If you look at it closely, let's say on the daily time frame chart, you would notice that this is how basically it looked like on the daily time frame chart. And on the daily, you can see that price was looking extremely weak, sitting at this trend line. First point of contact, the second point of contact, the third one, the fourth one, the fifth one, sixth one, and then price was just slowly creeping at this trend line. This is what exactly happens on the lower time frame charts. Obviously, if you would take a look at it on the weekly time frame, it may look like just one or two candles to you, but on the daily time frame chart or on the 4 hour time frame chart, you would see that the buyers, they were slowly losing the momentum here. Okay, the buyers, they were slowly losing the interest in bidding this level. And once we have a break below this level, even on the daily time frame chart, but I would prefer seeing something on the weekly time frame. Once we have a weekly candle close, okay, something like this, if you would draw the trend line carefully, if we have one weekly candle close below this trend line, okay, outside of this trend line, that's when we are going to enter into a short position. And we would set a TP slightly above the 4,300, $4,200 level. And then we would simply just, the first TP is going to be at 3,000. And then the next TP is going to be at the $2,100 level, because that's where the next higher time frame support is. So the same thing is going to happen, in my opinion, here as well. The reason, because a very similar kind of trend line we have on the chart for ETH, okay? And the interesting part is that the formation of this trend line has been fully confirmed. The first bounce, the second bounce, the third bounce has already happened. And if you would slightly adjust the positioning of this trend line, you may even notice that on the daily time frame chart, price is doing nothing but simply just consolidating at this trend line. The first bounce, the second bounce, the third bounce, the fourth bounce, the fifth bounce, the sixth one, and the seventh one. And how many of you are actually scared to see that, we are just about to break below this trend line very soon? Okay, it's probably gonna happen in the next 24 to 48 hours. Okay, if we do not see any big bounce here, but you can see that price is about to lose this trend line. And once we have a daily candle close below this trend line, and once we have the weekly candle close below this trend line, once again, we are going to enter into this big short position, placing a stops slightly above 4,400, 4,300, and then we will set a TP at 2,100 and enjoy this whole move towards downside. This is what exactly is going to happen. So this is why I have been warning all of you. Is it exactly close at 3,900? No, I mean to say that if it's a close below 3,900, To be precise, it has to be a close below 3888. It could be at 3880, it could be at 3550, it could be at 38 70, 3860, 3820. But once we have a weekly close below this level, and then a weekly close outside of this trend line, and then a daily close outside of this trend line, that's when the break is going to be confirmed. And that's when you would be sure that, look, we are about to go down, and we just have to be prepared for it. We just have to be prepared for it. So yeah, that's all about the ETH chart. Unlikely. Okay. Perma Bear, my daddy is saying this whole thing you explained about ETH will happen, but after we hit 6,000 from here. Okay, let's see. We have just 3 days. If the weekly candle close is below the $3,900 level, then I'm more than happy to bet on this, that we are about to have a major move towards downside, because my brain refuses to accept that once we start breaking below this trend line, which is a weekly time frame trend line, it's going to end well. I mean, it's a weekly time frame trend line. It's not a daily trend line. Okay, we're talking about a trend line formation on the weekly time frame chart. So you can imagine that once we start having a break below, it's going to look ugly. Okay, I'm more focused on Ethereum right now. Uh, okay, let me read a few questions in the chat box also. Can you take a look at USDT? Do we have big ascending trend line? Harry, I guess you joined late. If you would watch this live stream from the start, the first chart that we talked about was the USDT dominance chart on the weekly time frame, and this is the trend line that I talked about in detail. Let me know if you want me to explain this any further, but I explained in detail already the formation of this big descending trend line on the USDT dominance chart, and the fact that price now, these rejections are getting smaller and smaller, and now I feel like it's only a matter of time that we get to see a break towards upside on the USDT dominance chart. So would you close all your spot positions? No, no, I'm not gonna do that. I would. It really depends. As I said, we have to wait for the weekly candle close. He's talking about the ascending trend line on the USDT dominance. Yes, this trend line I'm talking about. Ascending trend line. Oh, sorry, not the descending one. Ascending one. Okay. This one you're talking about, uh, I don't really think we are going to see a break below this trend line, okay? Because this is also a big higher time frame support for 4.67, and I am assuming all of this considering the uptrend on the stable coin dominance chart. But you are actually right that on the USDT dominance chart, at least we have this big ascending trend line also. I mean, we have seen bounces at this trend line since 22nd of October 2018. I mean, we can extend this further. This is very interesting. Price has been bouncing at this trend line since 18th of December 2017. So for the past 8 years, price has been perfectly holding this trend line. And this is very interesting because this trend line has served as the bottom for sorry, as the top for Bitcoin, during all these years. You can see that 30th of December 2024, then back on 22nd of March 2021, then back on 17th of June 2019. So yeah, and another interesting fact is that we you know we are kind of forming this triangle, right? This is more like a symmetrical triangle, okay? And if you know the definition of a symmetrical triangle, you know that it's more like an indecision pattern, right? We don't know which side price would give a breakout. It could be a breakout towards upside, it could be a break towards downside also. But once again, I would assume that it's going to be a break towards upside, because in my personal opinion, this trend line, which is in formation on the USDT dominance chart, price is less likely to break below this trend line. Okay, I would just give it the benefit of doubt because this trend line has been in formation since 2017. So price is much less likely to break below this trend line, and it's more likely to break above this trend line. And the fact that price is trading close to this ascending trend line more in comparison, sorry, this descending trend line more in comparison to this ascending trend line, I would once again assume that it's going to be a break towards upside on the USD dominance chart. I have not exactly figured out what it is going to look like on the Bitcoin chart. Obviously, if that happens, we are going to have a break below 98.2k, but I'm more focused on the Bitcoin chart right now and less focused on this trend line. But I just showed you to put some sense in you guys that you have to be like really careful. How comes there is not many long scalps using the 1 hour and top gainers? I'm seeing 1 to 4 scalp longs a day respecting S and R levels. They give better profits that than slow swings. Yeah, we can do that. Even during the last 24 hours also, we had, you know, what's happening on this one? Okay. So even during the last 24 hours also, uh, I was basically looking at Jelly, this coin. uh, I was planning to enter into a long position on a scalp long position on this coin. You can see that I still have my alert set on this. At the hourly candle close, this could have given us a decent 66% move just in a matter of 24 hours. But again, due to FOMC, I did not do that. But we have not been opening any swing positions for the past, I guess, 20 to 25 days. We have been more focused on uh the scalps. So yeah, it's a good idea to at least just open a few scalp positions also. But yeah, we would definitely be entering a few scalp long positions very soon. And by the way, market has started to go down decently. So these two short positions we have open, both of these short positions are going good right now. MLN is also going good. This is going to be the second TP for MLN. This one is holding its ground, and Pixel is going good. Uh, but yeah, this one is gone already. This one is gone already. I don't think we can catch GUSDT or Swarms. This one, these two are already gone. BRT also to some extent. Uh, I would have loved to enter GUSDT, but it's already down almost 2.6%. There is no point chasing the entry on this one. We should have entered at this 4 hour close, but I prefer to enter Pixel and AVNT. But yeah, that's all about it. Sorry, I joined late. Should we enter Pixel at CMP or wait for your entry? Govind, when I started the live stream, price was close to the entry point, but now price has moved significantly away from the entry point in both of these positions. So there is no point chasing the entry right now. But if you are in Discord, then obviously you would have entered already. These swings are good, but can we at least hit easy RRs? Yes, we would sure do that, Amnesia. I agree with you. Ah man, I'm confused about altcoin. Should we exit or spot if we see any dump? Can you give us any idea? Do not exit right now, because as I said, we do not have the weekly candle close yet. It's all just a higher time frame talk. And remember that it still is a weekly time frame chart. It may take 2 weeks, 3 weeks for most of the times for price to get to these levels. Okay, like if you're talking about the USDT dominance chart, because the formation is on the weekly time frame, it may get another 2, 3, 4 weeks before price approaches that trend line. Okay, remember this thing, or it may just continue to consolidate around the very same price levels. It's definitely not gonna happen immediately. If you guys have any good short, if you guys have any good suggestions for short positions, let me know. And by the way, Bitcoin dominance chart, the main reason altcoins have been going down is because not only Bitcoin is going down, but USDT dominance is also going down. But Bitcoin dominance is going up. But Bitcoin dominance just tapped this resistance level. Let's set an alert around here. If Bitcoin dominance breaks above this small resistance level on the 4 hour time frame chart, then if it's able to flip this $4,300 level, then it will most likely go up to $4,500 level, and that's when we can even enter into more short positions. Yeah, I forgot to say this. 60 plus people are watching the live stream. I would really appreciate if all of you are able to just, hit the like button, subscribe the YouTube channel. How many subscribers we have? We just, we are literally stuck at 2,600 subscribers. How long before I hit the $10,000, 10,000 mark? Not $10,000, 10,000 subscribers mark. It's probably gonna happen in next 5 years or so, the pace that we are going at. So yeah, please make sure to uh, hit the like button, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter as well. This is my Twitter account, 𝗟𝘅𝗍𝒏𝗴𝗵𝘁. I post market updates regularly on my Twitter account as well. And obviously, if you would like to receive more organized updates and calls, you can always join in the Discord server. I will subscribe once I finally start my winter season. What's winter season? Rough times. With my help, you will hit 10K soon. Okay. Silent is all about, you know, let me sell something, let me just try to just, sell something here. I cannot wait. I was in Kaizen before, learned a lot from you. So following along the way. Okay, that's good. Anyone who is watching me from Kaizen, guys, I really appreciate that. And yeah, any other community that you are watching from, I really appreciate that. Hospitality, winter working in the mountains, summer sea. Wow, that's good. Be like James Wine. I wonder what is his take on all of this situation. He was going long on Bitcoin, then he got liquidated, then he was short, then he got liquidated. So yeah, he's just at this point in time, he's just doing the engagement farming. I'm an opportunist, brother. Okay. Decent scalp long. So for any scalp long opportunities, we would have to just focus on the uh, top gainers. But you can literally see that we do not have any top gainers. You can see that we do not have any top gainers right now. Oh my god, I have never really seen anything like this. Even when the situation is really worse, even in those kind of times, you have like some top gainers, some coins making a move. But right now, you can see that just two coins are in positive. The rest of everything is in negative. But yeah, if you guys have any suggestions, any short positions that you guys can think of, just let me know. Damn, I should have shorted H bar. H bar, XRP. Is there a point where you would still buy spot ETH again? Uh, I would see the reaction at $3,000 level, but I'm still not sure about buying at 3,000. I mean, if I get a chance to buy at 2,100, I would be more than happy, because even if the bull market is over, we would still get a very decent reaction at 2,100. From 2,100 to 2,800 at least, which is going to be a 20-30% move. So, you could easily make like, if you have $1 million position open, you can easily make around 300K from that position. Do you think H bar is going down? Yes, it is going down. I need not to think of anything. It is going down. You can see that it's at resistance. It just gave the first retest at resistance. So yeah, it was definitely okay. AVNT is going good. How many of you already entered this AVNT position? Yeah, it's almost 7% down. A TP is going to be at 0.56. I'm in around 56 cents. So let it dump. Pixel is also going good. But I'm actually sad that we did not enter any scalp like GUSDT or like Swarms or like BRT. BRT is holding its ground, so I would be like a little bit careful. I did not, I was asleep. Okay. Remember when you had like 10 scalps a day, what was the market condition for you to force that many positions? Amnesia, are you offended about something? You know, because let's be honest, what exactly do you want me to scalp on? Oh, there are a few coins in positive, but Amnesia, I'll be honest with you, I don't really see any reason to open any scalp long position right now. I can do that, but only if I see something worth going long. I just cannot force the market. You need to understand that. I need to see something worth going long on. It's not just a random thing, right? Now that quantitative tightening is over, do you think the bull market is over, or do you think we have another leg up? Um, I mean, rate cuts have been a really big catalyst in this bull market for the last 1 year or so, but it's not like they are the only catalyst. But something that I'm actually worried about is that we are running out of these catalysts. The first big one was the rate cuts, and remember that back in September, when we had the September 2024, when we had the first rate cuts, those were the first rate cuts in 4 years. Okay. And then we had elections, Trump being a favorable president for crypto overall, that was a big catalyst. Then we had the Bitcoin reserve serving as the catalyst. And before that, we had ETF as the catalyst, ETF approval. So in October 2023, Bitcoin was at 28,000. At that time, we had expectation about ETF. ETF gets approved, Bitcoin makes a decent move upside, up all the way up to 73,000. Then we had rate cuts at the catalyst as the catalyst. Then we had Trump as the catalyst. Then we had the Bitcoin Bitcoin reserve as the catalyst. So, and even before that, we had halving as the catalyst. So, we are slowly running out of these catalysts, in my opinion. So, it's quite possible that, we may have another move towards downside, at least down to like 73,000 or something like that. It's actually quite possible. Yeah, it's so bad the market doesn't even react to positive news that much. Yeah, because like, I'm not sure, maybe in the next few months, next few weeks, we may have an altogether different thing. But Powell himself just mentioned that this is most likely an end. Uh, you know, and he said that they're not even sure about the December rate cut. So I mean, I just cannot remember any other thing that we could be bullish on. If you guys have any idea, please let me know in the chat box. Apart from Eric Trump constantly shilling Bitcoin, apart from Eric Trump constantly saying that, you know, uh, Bitcoin is going to half a million and 200K and 300K, he's probably just trying to exit some of his long positions. That's it. He probably has some bad positions open, just trying to exit those positions. That's it. Only reason why I ask these questions is scalps is my favorite style of trading, but I'm not great at it compared to my higher time frame trading. I can completely understand, but my point is that the only scalp position that I could have entered is Jelly Jelly, but this shitcoin is already up almost 70%. You can see that this was the position that I had. Even, with my students also, I was consulting that should we enter into this position, and all of them, the three or four of them, told me that we should get into this. We should be entering this position on Jelly Jelly because it looked really really good to me. And for some reason, we still did not do that because of FOMC, and it just gave this big pump, 70% pump. Eric is 7 for 7 on being a counter signal. He said Q4 will be unbelievable in Bitcoin to 200K in 2025. 2025. Yeah, I mean, no one really knows for sure as to what exactly is going to happen. People believing Eric Trump don't even realize, what the market dynamics look like, or they don't even understand how the markets react or how the markets behave in general. Eric Trump, I mean, he is obviously the son of the most powerful person in the world. So until and unless he is saying all of this after talking to Trump, until unless that is the case, it might be totally different. But otherwise, Eric Trump has got no power to move the market on his own. You know, this we already know about. So anything that he is saying, it's absolute nonsense, and it's not really going to mean anything, in my opinion. Let me know if you guys can hear me or anything. Hello, hello, mic check 1 2 3. So we had some issue with the audio. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, so I was saying that Eric Trump has got no power to move the market on his own. So anything that he is saying, it's obviously not something that you should be paying attention to. But let's just forget about all of that. You guys tell me if you have any good short position that you're looking at, anything that you guys have in your mind, just let me know. And maybe we could just enter into one or two more short positions. BRT is looking good right now. Swarms, this one is already gone. GUSDT, this one is also gone. We should have entered it already. Down almost 3%. Yeah, this was a nice scalp, but we obviously cannot enter it right now. Order was looking really good. I was planning to enter the two coins that I was looking to enter. One was Lin and the second one was Order. Yeah, this one is also gone. This one is already down 6%. And same is going to be the case with Lin coin as well. Man, this FOMC thing just literally messed up. Yeah. Only one I'm in is BRT. Positive effects of QE usually la- lag 2 to 3 quarters. Okay. In extreme cases like 8, 9, it can lag for years. Should we DCA to long alt positions to recover from dump? What long positions do you have open? Pump. No, we cannot short pump. We tried entering pump and that shitcoin just stopped us right at the bottom and then made a decent move upside and then gave another fake out above trend line. Yeah, I'm actually glad I did not enter into this long position. I was planning to open another spot position on pump, but yeah, we can actually enter into a short position on this shitcoin. The way it gave this trend line fake out, we can actually enter into a short position on this one. Let me try to add this in my watch list. No way, this one is already down 16%. So fake out above trend line once again, but it's down 16%. So I don't think it would be a good idea to enter into a spot position on it. Sorry, to enter into a short position on it. It's already down bad a lot. So yeah, let's just stay away from this coin. And it probably happened because of this trend line. LTC, Solana, no, Solana is I got liquidated and pumped. Very shit coin, man. Yeah, it first stopped us right at the bottom, then gave this big move towards upside, a fake out. I'm actually very happy that I did not enter into this position and then gave another fake out. So yeah, I'm actually staying away from this coin. Let's delete this from the watch list. LDO, hype. No, let's just try to scan the watch list. Hannah is one that we can enter. Hannah. Hannah sounds like the name of a ghost. But yeah, Hannah, Pump, OG, Partcoin, XAN, Eigen. Yeah, this one looks nice. This one looks really nice for a short position. Eigen. But we would have to wait for the 4-hour candle close. The way you have written Jim, the way you have written dollars, it looks more like ass. Okay, so I'm just going to drop one more short position for you guys. 7 minute left and 4-hour close on Eigen, yeah. So I'm just going to look for one more short position for you guys, but you would have to wait. Uh, and it's going to be for those of you who are in the Discord server, obviously. So yeah, that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream. Still, 50 plus people are watching. Only 33 of you have liked it. I don't know what's the reason. What's the problem with the rest of 17 guys? Why are they not liking the live stream? Anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining in. I hope you guys enjoyed the content. Make sure to like the live stream. Make sure to uh, subscribe to the YouTube channel and make sure to follow me on Twitter as well. 𝗨𝗏𝗏, this is my Twitter handle. And finally, if you would like to receive more organized updates and calls, you can join in the Discord server. There is going to be one more call uh, very soon in the Discord server. Just don't forget to join that one also. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye bye. Yeah, someone has to react with that gay flag on silence comment. Unfortunately, we cannot do that in YouTube, but we used to do that regularly in Discord. Thank you so much, guys. Take care. Bye.